Recording.
All right. Welcome to the Side Action, episode 85, episode 16 of season 3. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Instagram and Twitter.
And this is Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31sroberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter and YouTube. So Action, getting ready for Christmas here. We're doing a little early session for this week because of Christmas Eve tomorrow. And did you do anything to get ready? Are you guys, I think we talked about last week, maybe you're sticking around for a minute?
Yeah, nothing really major. Just watching football last weekend, as per usual. We're heading down to Indianapolis sometime tomorrow, Thursday.
Okay. Cool.
So just been doing a ton of work this week. I got a new studio chair here for Christmas.
Nice.
Melissa, so it's nice and comfy. It doesn't creak quite as much.
Nice.
And I think she would be the first to tell you, ever since I opened it on Sunday, I've spent a lot more time here at the command center. So
nice.
How about you? Any preparations?
That translates into some wins for us. It's an interesting time in Chicago, as we discussed in the past. My daughter's here. My mom's coming over. She all points that she is negative for COVID, so that's good. She's coming over tomorrow. Yeah, she's going to stay over. We're going to do some cooking, do what I call the Moroccan stew. Some people call it the wedding stew. It's like the 7-vegetable stew. It's very delicious. It takes a long time to cook, so we're going to do that tomorrow evening. And then watch like Elf and stuff like that. And watch, we'll open some gifts on Christmas morning. And then, the big birthday's on Sunday, as you know. The old man is, I'm 47, dude. I can't believe it. I feel a lot younger than that. But yeah, so nothing really planned. Hopefully get some ice skating in maybe at one of the local rinks. It's 50 today, but it's supposed to drop to 20 tomorrow here in Chicago. But yeah, so other than that, finished up work a little early today and looking forward to 5 days of not working. That's the first time in a long time.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Get away a little bit, celebrate the birthday.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, let's get back on track, man. We've had some rough couple weeks here, so let's jump into it here. All right, so we've got the COVID updates. I only put the ones people that I really thought might impact something. We've got Kansas City has Anthony Hitchens, the linebacker. He's on there. We've got for the Raiders, Eric Harris, their free safety. Pittsburgh had Vince Williams, the middle linebacker, and as well as Ronald Jones for Tampa Bay. I don't know if you saw anybody else on their report because I pulled this yesterday.
The big news that I've seen flash across the wire this week is Dwayne Haskins hitting up the strip club after the game.
I heard about this. It was a private birthday party Action.
And now he's been demoted as captain for the Washington football team. So I'm not sure how that plays into the handicap, but funny nonetheless.
He was captain? That's the crazy part. I mean, he's still gonna start though.
I believe so. Yeah, I haven't seen an update on Alex Smith, but for my handicapping purposes, I'm expecting Dwayne Haskins again.
Demoting as captain, I still think it's shocking that they made him captain, especially with Chase Young in that team. But okay, good to know. I did read that story that it was a private birthday party for my girlfriend. I'm like, Anyway, let's go to the numbers from last week, week 15. A little bit strange week, at least my closing numbers. So first you had a home road split for the first time in a long time. It was 8-8. Home and road for last week, but this is where it gets kind of goofy. There were a lot of pushes, and I guess it depends on the number, what you had closing, but I had only 6 favorites cover, 7 dogs, and 3 pushes, which is very unique. We never really see that. Usually it's like 1 here and there. I guess it obviously depends on what you closed at, but what it means is to me is the spread actually came into play a lot, and in our case, it bit us a couple times with some hooks. So yeah, that was a weird. And then but the overs, crushed it this week, 10-6. Strange developments. Hey, Action.
Yeah, I think the numbers that jump off that page to me are the totals. They're typically this time of year, you see a lot more cold weather and weather impacted games and some lower scoring. But similar to the start of the year, we're starting to see some scoring pickup here late in the season. And just looking at the betting board this week, I like quite a bit of overs again going into week 16 here.
Mm-hmm. It does seem to be that there's some shootouts going on across the board here, which is really interesting. notable Arizona, Philly, and some of these games that it's like a Big 12 game out there. Well, I've noted some positives from Week 15, none of which are picks really, FYI. But the Dolphins, which were against, well, actually, the Dolphins weren't our pick; they were actually the pick for the consensus, right?
Correct.
So the Dolphins end up closing out the Pats. What I'm saying is that in this game, early in the game, the handicap that we kind of discussed early on that the Patriots were going to kind of handle Tua kind of worked. I mean, the score was 9-7 going into the fourth quarter. I know they picked Tua in the red zone. He wasn't playing very well passing the ball. But down the stretch, they made some plays. I'm sure the defense made some plays to kind of shut down the Patriots. And more importantly, Tua used his legs for 2 rushing touchdowns to get them the win 22-12 and win the game outright. And Miami still has a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, outside shot, granted, but
Yeah.
I know we've kind of dismissed the Dolphins offense quite a bit on this podcast, but even 145 passing yards for Tua. But it must be said, they're not explosive by any definition, but they are pretty efficient in moving the ball and picking up first downs. And I guess that's a good thing for the Dolphins.
Right. Red zone, I mean, their scoring defense, red zone defense is excellent. So they're keeping teams out of the red zone or out of the end zone. And with that crappy offense, they're winning a lot of games. I mean, it is kind of a smoke and mirrors thing a little bit. Here's the one I was mentioning. The former Oklahoma quarterbacks duel was incredible down in Arizona. Kyler Murray, who obviously got the Heisman Trophy one year, and then the very next year, Jalen Hurts went there. They put on a show down there. I mean, Murray, 406 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes, 1 touchdown running. Hurts tried to match that with 338 yards passing. 3 touchdowns throwing and 1 rushing as well. Arizona did win the game and covered 33-26. But I think that Hurts is showing that what we said early in the season, they should have given it a chance. This team probably would have won this division.
Yeah, I'd really have to question Doug Peterson's decision making there.
Yep.
Yeah. This box score is a little perplexing to me, even though the Eagles had quite a bit of yardage and were able to get close to the number. I think it closed 6.5.
Right.
If I recall. I mean, Arizona probably could have really won this by quite a bit more. I think there was a few red zone turnovers, one in particular where Kyler threw up a duck in the end zone. I think that Arizona probably was the deserving covering team in this one.
Right. No, I agree. They definitely lit up that defense. The last one I had was the Chiefs. They win the big battle, in the Big Easy. Interesting game here. The Chiefs, they went in New Orleans and looked really good. And mainly, I would say that Mahomes was just moving in the pocket, avoiding that pressure. They were able to put up 401 yards of offense, but damn it, they let the Saints get in the back door. And our pick for the push, some people did close at 2.5 for Kansas City and got the win, but a lot of people were at that 3 or 3.5 and could not get that cover. And Breeze didn't look great, but somehow they put up 29 points. And I looked at the box score too. A little perplexing, as you used the word. They didn't put up a lot of yards in this game, but they somehow got 29 points.
Yeah, especially with the loss at the wide receiver position. Michael Thomas was out known before the game, and I think they lost Traquan Smith mid-game as well. But Emmanuel Sanders really stepped up and was kind of Breeze's go-to receiver in the second half. And I partially wonder if the Chiefs defense maybe let off the gas a little bit, but it's hard to say that in a one-score game. Certainly felt like the Chiefs should have easily covered that game, and they didn't get it done for us.
Yeah, it's disappointing. But, they showed, and I think I've heard on the radio that we knew the Chiefs were going to be favorites in the Super Bowl, but now they're 8-5 or super high, the overwhelming favorite for the Super Bowl winner now, the Chiefs. So I think I have a 5 or 6 to 1 ticket, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Okay, the negatives. Well, the biggest favorite of the year, I believe, not necessarily in a game, but the biggest favorite loss of the year happened as the Rams. Man, they closed as many as 18-point favorites. Some of them, I guess, went down to 17, and they were at home, and they were really getting crushed in this game, 23-3. They closed the game to 23-20 to lose. But I wonder if Greg Williams, his firing has actually made this defense decent, because they shut down this Rams rushing attack, 65 yards. And I know the Akers got hurt, but they usually can run with anybody back there.
Yeah, unfortunate injury for Cam Akers. It looks like he's going to be out this week. Probably have that in the next section, but just a perplexing loss, and only the first one on the week, as we'll get to the later one.
I know.
But the Rams really just didn't show up, and I think that we can safely put aside any discussion about the Jets tanking to bed because they're playing hard, and it's clear that this defense has made a little bit of improvement even after Greg Williams firing.
Yeah, they're better. I mean, not great, but better. So this one, obviously, I wrote this before I looked at the injury report. Nick Mullins, boy, this guy sucks. It's funny. Last week I had talked about the Cowboys a little bit, and we were talking about the running game and everything. Maybe we should lay off the Cowboys. But it turned out the handicap was okay, mainly because Nick Mullins stinks. I mean, this guy, 3 more turnovers in the game, 58% completion percentage. They ended up losing 41-33, another one of these kind of shootout games that we talked about. The Cowboys, 4 different turnovers, and they really didn't have a lot of yards. It was just every time they got a turnover, they put the ball in the end zone. And I'm just wondering, it's pretty late in the season, but can the 49ers ever be trusted? And this team is not the same.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Nick Mullins is going to be out now, and that may be the last time we see him in the NFL throwing a football and meaningful snap. But now it's CJ Beathard, by all accounts. I know that they signed Josh Rosen this week, and I think due to the timing, he is eligible to play. So that'll be interesting to see which way they go. But either way, I think the Niners are definitely a hard team to back right now.
Yeah, CJ came in. It was late in the game. It was just garbage time. We went 5 for 7. He actually has a gun. Did you see that Hail Mary that he put in?
Yeah.
That was a good 65 yards. He gunned that thing. I'm like, why isn't this guy playing? Anyway, the Steelers, this is our big loser. And, it's not that anybody this wasn't a surprising pick. The Steelers were 13.5-point favorites or 14 at some point. They end up losing their 3rd straight, this time to the Bengals on the road. Sure, it's a divisional, opponent, but these are the Bengals. They were playing Ryan Finley, as we talked about. They lose 27-17 and really never even had traction in this game. Big Ben looks terrible. 52.6% a completion percentage, 170 yards, and 2 more turnovers. I don't even know what to say about this offense. This team obviously will make the playoffs, or at least, I guess it's not obvious. They have to win another game possibly. But for a team that was on the top of the world 3 weeks ago to where they are now, it's just a different story.
Yeah, I believe they're in the playoffs. I don't know that they can miss out. They certainly can lose the division if Cleveland wins out and they lose out. But there's no doubt about it. This team is broken right now, and I think that it's pretty clear Ben is broken. I don't know if it's part of the elbow surgery that he had in the offseason, but I think you said 170 for the game. He had 19 passing yards in the first half.
Right.
And that was with an interception and a sack fumble. And the Steelers just can't do anything on offense right now. And I'm not really sure that they should be favored in any game the rest of the season or the playoffs.
I agree. I think that you got to wonder if it's offensive line health or something. They're just refusing. Snell had 84 yards rushing, but this is the Cincinnati Bengals. This team is terrible against the run. So 84 yards sounds good, and he looked okay, but the lack of commitment, I guess they were too far down to really try to do that. But early in the game, they're just trying to do the same thing, a little dink and dunk. Just run the damn ball. It's like the Bears. The Bears are now running, by the way. I didn't mention them. They look good again. All right, positive. So what's that?
It was a positive, the Bears offense.
Positive. Well, let's look over some of these injuries that are noteworthy. We've got Buffalo has a couple key ones. They have Stephon Diggs is questionable with a foot. He kind of left the game on Saturday a little bit, and then Tre'Davious White, their top cornerback, also has an injury. I didn't put what his injury was. Great, but he's definitely questionable as well. Cleveland's got an offensive guard who's out on IR, Chris Hubbard, his kneecap, I guess. And then also Wyatt Teller, an offensive guard, his ankle is doubtful, which that's critical for their rushing attack.
Yep.
I've got some other guys, Leighton Vander Esch. He's got an ankle issue. He's doubtful. And then one of your guys, Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Kansas City, he's doubtful with his ankle. And then a couple more, Joey Bosa, defensive end concussion, questionable. The guys barely played this year for the Chargers, although they keep winning. And then we talked about the Cam Akers one. Stephon Gilmore is out for New England. That's got to be key, although Diggs won't take advantage of that. You mentioned Michael Thomas, and then we already mentioned Nick Mullins. So there's quite a few big injuries there.
Yeah, a lot of teams are going to be without some of their stars the last couple of weeks here, and then you're also looking at players that are likely going to sit out in week 17. So definitely worth monitoring the in and active status.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's roll into these, and we can also talk about strategy for picking in the contest. It's a unique week for the NFL. They're going to play a Christmas game, so I'm assuming the tomorrow is when the Circa lines will come out. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're coming out same time, Thursday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern. So we'll expect to see them, and then got an extra day this week with the first game being Friday night.
Yeah. So yeah, so the first game is the Christmas game. It's kind of a nice game. I like it, but at the same time, I don't know if we're going to hit this one. We'd have to put all our picks in by Friday. But Minnesota is going to New Orleans. This is a 4:30 Eastern start. It opened at 53-point total, 8.5-point favorites for New Orleans. I don't know which one we're going to report. I guess my bet online is 7.5, down to 51-point total. I mean, I kind of liked when I saw it. I guess I saw it at 7. I kind of like the New Orleans side here. Minnesota's defense is really bad. The Bears were lighting them up, but obviously I don't love the hook. We've been hooked before. Any thoughts on this game? Even though we probably won't pick it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think it's a little bit of a big number for New Orleans offense to be
Sure.
laying right now with the questionable Drew Brees performance and then no Michael Thomas.
Right.
So while Minnesota, on the flip side, I'm not sure it's going to have much success against that New Orleans run defense, number 2 in the league,
Right.
and Kirk Cousins has not been playing well lately either. So to be honest, I think it's probably a pass. But if a 7.5 popped up, I think we might have to look at Minnesota.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, probably a pass, but I hear what you're saying. That I never liked those. Like last week, just so America knows, we got hooked twice.
Hooked indeed.
Exactly. Seattle and what was the other one?
The Colts game
Colts.
versus the Texans.
Brutal. Anyway, all right. So the next 3 games are on Saturday. One is an early game at 1 o'clock Eastern. Again, I don't know if we're going to get our picks in that early. That's Tampa going to Detroit. Tampa Open is an 8-point favorite on the road, 54-point total. Bet online it's 10, which is a big number. Detroit being and then a 53-point total. Initially when I looked at this, I think I saw 9.5 or something like that. I kind of like the Bucks there, but again, this game's too early for us to make a pick, right? I mean, we wouldn't go all in that early.
Yeah, I'm guessing that Matthew Stafford is going to be out in this game. The reports I'm hearing are that he may not be able to go, and we could be looking at Chase Daniel at quarterback for the Lions. So I'm not sure if that changes the handicap at all, but I certainly would agree that the Tampa Bay side looks appetizing.
It does. I mean, Swift ran well last week in the game against, what was it, Tennessee, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, the offense can still move, I guess, but Tampa's run defense is really supposed to be pretty good. And, it was weird. Tampa, like we kind of talked about, Atlanta was a good side for us. We didn't pick them, but they ended up covering. But Tampa closed that game strong. That second half was dominant, and I think they do have the offense to score. And Detroit doesn't seem to be playing any defense the last few weeks. So, I wish this game was on Sunday. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, we could look and see what the number comes out. I think it's going to be largely dependent on the status of Stafford. It'll be interesting to see what the Circa operators post for this one tomorrow.
Okay. The 4:30 Eastern game on Saturday is the aforementioned San Francisco going to Arizona. Obviously, early in the year, we were all in Vegas, very excited to get this money line ticket when Arizona was the dog, pretty severe dog in that game. Now they open up as a 5-point favorite at home, 50-point total. That looks like what we're looking at Bet Online, 5-point favorite, but a lower total, 48.5. With this discussion with Beathard or Rosen, does it change the handicap? I mean, I don't think Arizona is a typical bet on team for me, but they seem to have righted the ship a little bit offensively. And San Francisco, I don't know what to say. This defense can't stop anybody right now. So I 5 points is a lot, but I'd like Arizona in that game.
Yeah, I concur. I think that even with the poor play of CJ Beathard is not really going to be much of an improvement for that offense.
Right.
And I believe that the Arizona Cardinals have been playing a lot better last couple of weeks Kyler Murray is finally starting to run again, and that gives the offense a totally different dynamic.
Right.
So I would like the Cardinals at that number, I think.
Okay, we'll see what comes out with tomorrow. We'd have to get the picks in a little earlier than normal to hit that one, but we could still do that. Here's another one. This is the night game on Saturday, 8:15 Eastern. Miami is going to Vegas to play the Raiders. Miami Open is a 2-point favorite on the road, 46.5-point total. BetOnline showing a 3-point favorite. That's what I'm seeing at Rivers with a 48-point total. I know it's kind of one of these test games. I'm not saying we're going to pick it, but the Dolphins certainly are the better team here. The Raiders' offense is pretty good, but their defense is garbage. I mean, they're awful. They're giving up points left and right. So this would be a get-right game for Tua and the gang. I like the 2.5 when it first came out. I saw 2 or 2.5. 3 is a tougher number for a road team, but I'm going all favorites here, actually, but I kind of like them.
I believe that Derek Carr is questionable and may not play in this one. So we could be looking at a matchup of Tua versus Marcus Mariota.
Sure.
Two Hawaiian quarterbacks.
Hawaiians.
Interesting face off there. But right. I want to ask you, does the move from Derek Carr to Mariota change the handicap at all?
I don't know. I mean, Mariota was very effective last week against the Chargers in the Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm.
He looked good, but I kind of feel like the Chargers weren't ready for a mobile guy. I think the Dolphins are going to have something for him, so it's going to be a little more difficult for them to do it. I don't know what's the Dolphins' rush defense, because obviously Josh Jacobs is a big part of that handicap for the Raiders.
Yeah, Miami rush defense 24th against the run, 5th against the pass, though.
Okay. So, I mean, it may actually work to the advantage of the Raiders because, typically when you have a mobile quarterback, just like a Jalen Hurts situation, all of a sudden you get better rushing lanes because you can run that read option and it works.
Mm.
So maybe it's a stay away, or I don't know if I can back the Raiders. God, sounding crazy.
I mean,
they're playing terrible.
Yeah, I believe this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. So the question to you, Wags, is will the Dolphins be able to keep up with the scoring pace in this game? I know the Raiders' defense is terrible, but can you envision a scoreline where Miami puts up 28 points against the Raiders?
I don't know. Not really. But I mean, they put up 22 against New England. They put up 27. How many did they put up against the Chiefs? 24? They're in that mid-20s range, and the Raiders are a cut below everybody. So, I mean, they're completely awful. I guess I kind of feel like it's a bit of I don't know. I mean, the Raiders, they haven't won in weeks, right? I mean, they just keep losing.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. They did beat the Jets in Week 13. That counts for something.
Right, it does. It does. I mean, everything tells me to take the Dolphins here. It just scares me because the Dolphins could have a letdown after beating their big foes, but they do definitely need to win this game. I mean, it would, obviously I think the Raiders really eliminated themselves, but let's do that. Let's do Miami, Miami or pass on that.
Yeah, there's certainly no question of motivation here. Miami pretty much needs to win out if they want to beat out Baltimore for one of the last.
Right. I mean, I've got this game at like 5.5. I know it's a heavy number, but just from the numbers, So yeah, let's see the other options. All right, let's go to the main slate on Sunday. The Bears go to Jacksonville. Boy, the Bears are resurrected. All of a sudden, they're running the football. They opened as 7-point favorites on the road, 47.5-point total, and BetOnline at 7.5 with a 48-point total. Your Minshew did not do much for the Jags cover against the juggernaut Ravens, but we picked over. Wait, was Jags Ravens, right?
Yeah,
we obviously had the Ravens, so
that was our one win of the week.
Oh God, horrible. I don't know. I mean, the Bears are running the ball now. They're doing what they should have been doing all season. All of a sudden, they're giving Montgomery the ball 20, 25 times a game. This is what they needed to do. It really helps Mitch out a lot. I think the Bears are going to beat this team. I don't know how you can favor them by 8 points on the road. I mean, no, it's Jacksonville. They're the worst team in the index, by the way, Jacksonville. But bring the Maylocks. I mean, you back in the Bears here? Did I lose you?
I'm here. Little internet in and out, it looks like,
Mm-hmm.
in the Ferndale residence. But
All right.
as long as we're still going here, I concur. I think that the Chicago Bears is kind of, it almost looks like too easy in this
Yes.
one. 7.5 makes it a little bit tricky. I certainly like them on every one of my teaser plays this week, taking it down
Yes.
through the 6 and the 3.
Right.
But I think we should probably check and see what this number is like when it hits the contest board tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay. The next one is Indy and Pittsburgh. This is the marquee game. I'm a little surprised they didn't flex it up somewhere, but Indy's going to Pittsburgh. Indy, I guess I don't know when this opened. It opened as a 2.5. I think I had it flipped, but it doesn't matter. 44.5 point total. Now at BetOnline, it's 2 point favorite for Indianapolis at Pittsburgh. 45 point total. I totally get the line. I mean, I understand Pittsburgh is just they're hurting. They're hurting. I guess I thought this would be more closer to a pick, actually, even though we know what the Steelers have been. Are you jumping on board, getting your Colts bandwagon, and have them just pummel this team with the run, or what?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really sure how Pittsburgh is going to stay in this game on offense. Right now,
Right.
this offense just can't move the ball. And the Indianapolis defense is certainly not on Pittsburgh's level, but they're no slouches. And
Right.
uh, I'm not really sure if Pittsburgh is going to be able to keep up the scoreboard pressure.
Right. I mean, the thing is the Colts have been out in front of these games. They've been just running down people's throats. Even though they didn't cover the 7.5, they were in control of that game the whole time against Houston. Pittsburgh's going to bring the pressure on Rivers, right? So are the Colts going to be able to run the ball against this team? And then, or is it going to be in Rivers' hands? And that's my only fear about taking the Colts here.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have a formidable rush defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they've been giving up a little bit of running yards the past few weeks. I think you
Right.
saw on Monday night the Bengals put up a good number of running. I mean, I think Finley had like 7 completions in that game, and they
Yeah.
still put
True.
a decent amount of points on the board. Granted, they
Mm-hmm.
were aided by turnovers,
Right.
but I think that the Colts are more than just Jonathan Taylor right now too. You've
Mm-hmm.
seen the short passing game get into play as well.
Right. So for you, it's Colts or pass.
Definitely.
Okay. Put another yellow on the board there.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. This one's interesting. The Giants are, going to Baltimore. You're not showing any numbers. I can give you some numbers here. I'm showing that the Ravens, at Rivers anyway, are up to an 11-point favorite at home, and the total's 45, which is what you show. So I guess you got it on Bovada. It's an interesting matchup. The Giants have cratered. I don't know. It's obviously we know that they couldn't score before. We knew that. I don't see the Giants stopping this run defense or the run offense, just like the Browns ran all over them.
Mhm.
The Ravens are going to do that. 11's just a big one. Now, granted, we saw that again. They covered for us. They were our lone cover. So, would you get back on the Ravens bandwagon here?
Yeah, I think that you could talk me into the Ravens. I'm guessing that the numbers being off the board here have to do with Daniel Jones, who's still questionable with that ankle
Sure.
injury. And although Colt McCoy started on Sunday night, I think that early on in that game, they were able to get into the red zone the first couple of possessions. And had they punched one of those into the end zone, you might have seen a little bit different outcome.
Sure.
After the first couple of drives, they really just couldn't do anything. And on the flip side, I think the defense of the Giants is going to be able to stop a little bit of the running game. They're certainly not terrible against the run, 15th ranked. But having said that, the Ravens are really starting to kick into fine form now. And I could definitely see them having the ability to cover this double-digit spread.
Right. Okay. Well, we're getting a lot of yellows this time. So, yeah, I guess we'll put Baltimore on the yellow here. Okay, and a lot of favorites again. Okay, so here we go. Kansas City. Kansas City opened up as a 13-point favorite at home, 54-point total. They're 10.5 at BetOnline, which is pretty consistent with what I see at Rivers. 54-point total. Depending on your number, the Chiefs didn't cover again. I don't understand what's with this team. It's like they're playing with their food, so to speak. They're just they're going to beat Atlanta. They're going to beat them probably soundly. Atlanta did play pretty well against their division foes in the Bucks, but these cross division matchups usually don't turn out so well. I mean, save the Panthers maybe. Um, I don't know. I don't feel great about backing the Chiefs at 10.5, but I think they're going to, they're going to beat up Atlanta pretty bad.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, Kansas City now 6 losses in a row against the spread. When
Hmm.
you consider that there was certainly 3.5s available last week. I think they did close at 2.5,
Did
so
they?
you could
Okay,
argue that they did cover the closing number.
sure.
But still, I mean, a game that they should have won by a lot more. We talked about earlier, and going against this Atlanta team, my only concern is that I'm not sure that Kansas City defense will be able to get enough stops in this one to cover this number.
Right.
Um, they've been giving up some scores lately against opponents that are not great shakes,
Hmm.
and Denver, Miami. I mean, these
Hmm.
offenses have been scoring on them, so I'm not sure how you can count on Kansas City to cover such a large spread.
Would you get on Atlanta then?
Yeah, I think I would consider Atlanta in this spot.
Okay.
It is a cross-divisional game, and while Kansas City is sitting in the number 1 seed, I know they still have to hold off Buffalo. Does Buffalo have a chance to catch them? I mean,
I
to
think
the
if they win this game, then that's it because Kansas City beat them head to head and they're two
right.
games up. So if they
Okay.
win this one, it's over. If they lose this one, actually, it may not matter. Let me double check that. I think they're 2 games up, right? They got one loss, and I think Buffalo has 3 losses.
Sounds right.
Yeah, maybe they already have locked it up. For some reason, I thought they had to win this week, but maybe I'm wrong here. Let's take a look.
Well, Pittsburgh could, in theory, catch them, right?
Yeah, so here's how I'm looking at it. 11-3, 11-3, and then they're 13-1. Yeah, that's true. Technically, the Pittsburgh could tie them, and then it would come down to, some tiebreaker. I mean, the Chiefs are 10-1 in the conference, so it's gonna be tough to catch them. But they
Mm.
could, because the Steelers are 8-2. If they closed with 2 wins, they could tie at least. If well, they need another Chiefs loss, right? Which would be an AFC loss. So yeah, the Chiefs got to win this game. They win the game, they're number 1 seed, no matter what. So they're definitely motivated. It's just whether they're going to do what they do. They'll build a lead, and then we'll let these guys get back. They're not gonna catch us. I mean,
Hmm.
it's happened many times. Even the Miami game, they were up big, right?
Yeah, they were up big in the Miami game. They've had a couple slow starts in there too. The Denver one comes to mind,
True.
and the Las Vegas Raiders game. So I don't know. I'm not sure I can get there, but I don't know. Do you lean Atlanta or Kansas City?
I mean, from the way we've talked about, I lead Atlanta, but
Okay.
Atlanta's been a team that I've kind of liked. We know Sharps love them. They're definitely better in the dome, always traditionally. I mean, in
Hmm.
Kansas City, I don't know the weather on Sunday, but if they're a little rough, I mean, I could see Atlanta packing it in. I mean, they're down to what are they? They're not very good record wise. I mean, they had some rough games, but they're 4-10. I mean, they're not, you know, they're a little mid season. The resurrection has kind of been quelled at this point, so I'd probably stay away.
Okay. Yeah. Let's move on.
All right, Cleveland against the Jets. 9-point favorites for Cleveland on the road. They're playing in the Meadowlands again. 44.5 point total. You've got it at 10 point favorites on Bet Online, 46.5 point total. I'm going to say this again. Cleveland has the easiest schedule in the NFL this year by a long shot. I don't even need to look at strength of schedule. It's every week they've got cupcakes. The Jets have been playing a little bit better, but Cleveland's basically right at home over there in the Meadowlands. 10 points seems like a bit much, but the Jets are bad. And I mean, they played good last week. They got their win. There's no motivation, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're still professional athletes, and
Yes.
I think they still
Bonuses.
have some guys who can get after the passer.
Hmm.
And I would just have a little bit of concern about backing the Browns because I think the Jets are going to be able to get some pressure on Baker Mayfield.
Hmm.
And while he's been on a tear lately, we all know that he's a different quarterback when he gets pressure in his face. And I think that I could consider the Jets due to that reason.
And I guess Sam Darnold must have played a little better last week, right? I know
Yeah.
Frank Gore, the ancient one. I mean, is that guy 40 yet? He's he scored another touchdown, I think. Um, yeah, my thing is just Cleveland. They're still in the play for the AFC North. They could win the division. If they win this game, it's going to be a showdown with the Steelers next week for the division, right? They both have, if I'm
Yeah.
not
That's
mistaken, they both have 3 losses.
provided that the Colts win. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Um, yeah. I mean, winning the game and covering 10 points, though,
Yeah, you're
possibly 10 points is a whole nother ball game. And I mean, somewhat of a low total, although I do like the over quite a bit in this one as
hmm
well.
hmm
44 and a half. You've already seen it tick up to 47 and a half as we speak now on the board. And, you know, I just think that the Jets are going to be able to move the ball. You've seen them score on our opening possession in 8 straight games now.
hmm
So I would lean to the Jets still.
Of
But
course you would. We know that Action loves his Jets. Last week he didn't back them. That was the week we needed it.
I know.
He gave up. He quit the Jets too early. Um, all right, well, let's consider it. I mean, gosh, we're putting a lot of yellows on the card, but maybe I'll go with the Jets with you this week. Maybe I'll get back on board. This one's another humdinger of a game. Here we go. Cincinnati at Houston. This was a playoff game like 5 years ago. Cincinnati opened, I guess, I'm sorry, Houston opened as a 9-point favorite at home, 46-point total. I'm showing it Rivers about the same, 8.5 point favorites for the Texans. I know you're not going to get on board with me, and you probably shouldn't, but why is Houston favored by 8.5 points, man? This team's not good. And
Yeah.
Cincinnati, I guess they played up for their competition last week. They're not that great either, but damn, I mean, Houston's defense, they played good against the Colts. Somehow Watson made some plays, but I can't back the Houston in this game. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I think this number is way inflated the way that the Texans defense has been playing all year. I'm not sure that they should ever be laying a number this large, even against Ryan Finley.
Right.
So I would have to agree it's Bengals or pass here. But I think that we should keep an eye on this one. I'm seeing a number of places that are off the board, and
Yeah,
I'm not really sure at this moment what the reason for that is. Bengals quarterback,
could
possibly.
be. Yeah, probably. They're like, hey, we can we can get the other guy back, Brandon Allen. He's amazing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that Brandon Allen is going to move the needle much, though, in terms of the point spread.
No, I don't think so either. I don't know why they would do that. I'm assuming, I mean, Watson's going to play, right? They did have Brandon Cooks last week. That made a difference with Houston's offense.
Hmm.
He was getting the ball quite a bit, made them get some plays down the field. Yeah, okay. Let's just move on.
Yep.
Here we go. Denver and the Chargers. This is the 4 o'clock slate. Denver's going to the Chargers. The Chargers are 4-point favorites on the opener. 51-point total, 3.5 on Bet Online, 48.5-point total. The Chargers, are you back with the Chargers? They've covered 2 straight weeks. They played good on Monday night. The offense looked great, defense not so great. I mean, God, I hate this Denver team. Of course, it's the road dog, analogy, but this Denver team has really disappointed me this season. 3.5, come on, give me a 3. Give me a 3. I'll take a 3.
Yeah, no chance. This is definitely going to be 3.5. There's already, I don't see 1 3 on the board. There's one rogue 3 right now, but the rest is 3.5. And I would be shocked if the Circa operators post a 3 on this one. And
Right.
I'm totally with you. That Denver secondary is decimated right now. Josh Allen and Brian Daboll put on a clinic last Saturday night, and I have every expectation that Justin Herbert will do the same. But when you're talking about 3.5 and Anthony Lynn as the coach, I'm not really sure that I could do it.
Well, it's this classic situation. All the numbers point you to the Chargers, and they've been like this many times all year. They have not covered a single favorite number all year, right? The only ones they've covered were dogs, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. So it's that classic go against Anthony Lynn pick. Um, oh man, God, that guy kills me. This team, yeah, whatever.
I mean, the media is talking up like he's going to stick around now. I thought for sure he
What?
was a goner, but I've heard a lot of discussion in the last week and a half about him possibly keeping his job.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's like Nagy, and I know the Bears are 7-7. They could still make the playoffs, but is anybody watching the football? Like, why didn't these guys do this? Whatever earlier. But I don't know. I can't believe that he would keep his job. But who knows? Next game, Carolina, Washington. Again, this one's kind of spotty. I guess maybe this is the Haskins news. Washington, we're going to say opened as a 2-point favorite, maybe 2.5, and the total is 44.5, roughly. I think that's what I've got here. Let's see. I've got 2.5 and 44.5. There you go. I love my Washington football team. I have all season. 2.5 at home seems like a gimme. I know that Haskins is questionable, and he was terrible for 3 quarters. He was terrible. But they got those 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter against Seattle's not so good defense. I like this team if it's 2 for sure. 2.5. I mean, I'd back them. I know that maybe you want to stay away because you like those steady Teddy. He did cover last week too, didn't he?
Yeah, Carolina did cover last week in a backdoor fashion against Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the line's off the board because Alex Smith practiced today in a limited fashion. So
Nice.
I think that odds makers are probably waiting to see what the status is come Friday afternoon. And if it's Alex Smith, you can definitely sign me up for a Washington pick here. However, I'm not sure I can get there with Dwayne Haskins.
Okay, yeah. The captain. If he was captain? If he was captain, you were on it. But since he got stripped of the captaincy, unbelievable. It's like high school. Okay, next game, big game in the NFC West. Probably will determine the division, even though Seattle could probably still win it if things fall their way. Rams are going to Seattle. It's a rematch. Seattle Open is a 3-point favorite at home, 48.5-point total. You've got it at BetOnline at 1.5, 47.5-point total. I may have misput this in our picks later. I actually thought that that the Rams were favorites, so I had it inverted.
Yeah.
Look, 3 weeks ago, what did they play? 3 weeks ago, it was a similar line, right? It was Seattle was favored on the road, and obviously the Rams outright beat them.
Mm-hmm.
This Rams team is baffling. You think that last week was a look-ahead spot with the Jets? Is that what happened?
A little bit. I don't know how to explain last week, to be honest.
Well, I just think it's really interesting. The Seattle defense has played better in the last 3 weeks. That is my biggest handicap here because we know the Rams are going to get up for this game. They're going to beat up Russell Wilson. I actually think it's not going to be a shootout like some of these games. It could be an underplay. I mean, 47.5 is not a big number there, but I think Seattle's defense is playing better. I don't know if I can get on board with taking them at 1.5. My numbers tell me that the Rams are the better team. What do you think?
I like the Rams a lot in this game. I think that they're going to bounce back and win this game. I actually took them on the money line already
Nice.
at a small plus price. And I think that the handicap for me is just the Rams defense against the Seahawks offense.
Mm-hmm.
You saw them shut down Russell Wilson and company in the last game. They were favored by a field goal, it looks like, and won the game 23-16.
Right.
So certainly one of the lowest scoring outputs that the Seahawks have had all season, except for the Giants game. And I think that they're going to be hungry, especially now after that tough loss to the Jets.
Agreed. Okay, well, I can get on board with the Rams there. I think I had them as the pick. I just had them as a favorite and not a dog, so it's even better for me. Nice, a green one and the under. That's right. Okay, so next one, Philly against Dallas. Dallas opened as a 2-point favorite again. Not know when they put that. When they put that up. 48-point total. Now Philly is the favorite on the road. 2-point favorite on the road. 49.5-point total. This by the numbers is actually not good for the Eagles. They're over. It should be more like a pick. Okay, but I understand why this line is here. Jalen Hurts looked great. He's been moving the offense. Dallas's defense has been but they've been moving the ball a little bit. You think Philly's a good backer here, or are you looking at my contrarian view of the Cowboys again?
This is tough because, like you said, the Eagles' numbers have been horrible, but you kind of have to throw a lot of the season out with a lot of those numbers coming from Carson Wentz.
Correct.
And Jalen Hurts has been fantastic the last 2 weeks. I kind of thought the first week against the Saints might have been a little bit of an aberration because they weren't ready for that style of quarterback. But
Right.
you would have thought the Cardinals defense would have been prepared for the running quarterback because they have one on their own team.
They do, yeah.
And I think that this Eagles team sees some light to possibly winning the division. They're only a game back of Washington, so they certainly have all to play for. And I think that the Dallas performance last week was aided a little bit by the long gone Nick Mullins. So I think that this number is a little bit depressed about where it could be just based on Dallas winning last week. So it probably should be a 3 or more. And I think there's value with Philly.
Okay, well, I will go with you. If it's 2.5 or less, then I think we probably go on Philly. If it gets over the 3, I'd be a little bit more nervous.
Agreed.
But I hear what you're saying. Okay, this is the Sunday night game, Tennessee at Green Bay. This is kind of a nice, cross-conference matchup here. The Packers open up as a 5-point favorite at home, 56-point total. It's down to 3.5 at BetOnline with that same 56-point total. When I look at this game, we know what they're going to do. The Titans are going to run the football, and Green Bay can't stop the run still, right? I mean, they're going to give up some yardage there. I like the Titans here. A little bit weird because it is a cross matchup, and I think the Titans will give up passing yardage, but I think this is a perfect game for Derrick Henry to, he's already going to win the rushing title, but he's just going to continue it unless you think the Packers can stop this run.
No, I don't think that's the case. It's very tough handicap, though, because the Tennessee defense is so bad.
They are bad.
On the flip side. And 56 probably appropriately lined. Not sure that I can go over at that number, but I do think there's going to be quite a bit of scoring in this game. And 3.5 is just a tough number. I mean, if it was over 4 or closer to the opener, I think you probably could talk about a little bit more value. But sure. I'm interested to see where this comes out at. Looks like mostly 3.5s on my screen. So 3.5 certainly could be talked about on Saturday.
Yeah, I've got it down to 3 at Rivers, so that's kind of looking at that same pressure we were talking about. When the opener hit, I'm sure people crushed the Titans there. They were just heavy money on the Titans because that is too big of a line. Yeah. I mean, I've got the game at like a 3. It's really right where it should be. The 3.5's a little bit of value. So I guess we're not, it's not like a ridiculous number. It's really pegged where it should be, but I know it's interesting. Green Bay has been on a roll. I mean, they keep winning, but they're not covering numbers, which is funny. They get cooked every week. But Titans are doing what they do. I mean, they got crushed against the Browns. That was kind of a surprise. And now they are just doing what they do. They just manhandle people. Just give the ball to Henry. The guy's the man. I love that. So
yeah, but as bad as Green Bay's rush defense is, you could argue that Tennessee's pass defense is equally as bad.
Yeah. Yeah, 56 points. I mean, it tells you right there. So, okay, let's stay away for now. Last game on the card, Buffalo going to New England. Changing of the guard here in the AFC East. Buffalo opened as a 6.5-point favorite, 44-point total, 7.5 points in BetOnline with the 46-point total, a little tick up. Is Buffalo just going to go in and roll this team? This doesn't make sense from the metrics. I think they're way too heavily favored here. I actually had it at 7 in my numbers because I think it should be more like 2.5, 3.5, but I get it. I mean, New England has trouble scoring and Buffalo's offense is just rolling.
Wow. This is tough. Remember the first meeting? It was actually a pretty close game in Buffalo. Cam Newton had the Patriots driving to either tie or take the lead. I think they were down by a field goal and fumbled late in the game.
All right.
So, I mean, they've already played them tough once this year, and I think this number approaching 7 is kind of ridiculous. So
I agree.
I would only look to New England in this spot.
Right. Yeah,
the question is, though, do you think that New England really had a dream crusher last week with the loss, and effectively they are eliminated from the playoffs? So that's the only question.
They're 6-8 now, so they're done. I don't know. I don't know what the handicap would be from a coaching standpoint. We haven't seen this before, right? We've never seen New England in the 2000s where they haven't been in the playoff mix in the last 2 weeks of the season. So I can't answer the question, but I guess I feel like if I was Belichick, I just try to send a message that, hey, don't forget about us. This is Monday night. We're not going to be embarrassed on Monday night. And as good as Buffalo's been playing, they have covered, like, what would we say? Now it's like 6 weeks in a row or something.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about that. I don't know if it was off air, where the guy from ESPN Wager, like, the guy's been going against the Bills all year and getting crushed. But this is the game. I mean, 7.5. God, that is just screaming to take New England.
Yeah, and for those of you out there who are not in the contest, this being a Monday night game, I'm sure the public will load up on the favorite. So if you're interested in the Patriots, probably get a better number come Monday afternoon.
Right.
But yeah, another one. I think it'll be super interesting to see what the contest line comes out to be. I have a feeling it might be just under that touchdown number.
Yeah, 6.5. That's probably a better number for Buffalo. Okay, well, let's see where it comes out. We can look at it. We've got a lot of picks here that we kind of like or sort of like,
Yeah.
Which isn't helpful. Let's go into the Circa contests. America, we're failing you. We were there. We were right there, guys. We have a shot. We're going to go 10-0, and then we're going to be right there again. But we went 1-3-1 last week. We are 40-34-1. Still solid, 55.71%. That's great on the season, 490th overall. Fourth quarter, not so good. 1483rd. But we just got hooked, man. I mean, God, you get those two non-hooks, we're right there. It's we're 5 picks back now of the money, which is tough. So I didn't update that part. Sorry, Action. But yeah, we somehow fell, even though the consensus had a pretty bad week at 2-2-1. We fell back 2 picks. I don't know how that happens, but it's very interesting when you look at the standings. Action, it's compressed. The guy at the top isn't doing. I don't know what. I didn't look at last year's winners, but it's definitely a little tighter than it was last year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So the guy at the top, let me pull this up. He's only got 50 picks right. He's 50-24-1. So we're only 10 picks off the top. But the guy in last place, he's 15 picks off of us, which I think is crazy. It's 25 picks. Now, that sounds like a lot, but you'd figure the guy who's going last place, who's trying to lose, would be terrible. Right? It's just that kind of year. It's hard to do. So, 45.5 is the money line, basically the money cut line for the big contest, the annual. So hopefully we can get there. I guess I didn't update that. Sorry, Action. We're actually 54.05. If somebody's checking my math, sorry guys. But still, that's pretty good. So let's look at some of these games we talked about. We did talk about Tampa on Saturday. Maybe we get on board with that if we see that at 9.5. That they're on the road. Did we talk to you? Well, we nixed that game. We can knock that out.
Yeah.
We talked about Chargers. No, we talked about Miami, obviously. Them being on the road. That's the night game on Saturday at 3 points. Favorites on the road. We talked about Indy. Being 2-point favorites on the road at Pittsburgh. We like Baltimore. We don't know the number at this time. It's probably more like 11.5, depending on, I guess it's Colt McCoy or Daniel Jones being played.
Right.
I may get on board with the Jets again, being 10-point favorites at home. Maybe they'll go back-to-back here. And then some of these other ones, man, the Chargers, 3.5. Wow, I can't believe I'm saying that. We're going to see what that number is. We both like Washington. We just need to see what's going to happen there, especially if it's a low number with Alex Smith playing. And then the Rams, we're all over the Rams as the dog, 1.5 points or so on the road at Seattle. And Jesus, we got a lot of picks this week. Action, the Eagles, 2 points on the road, favorites, and New England, the dog at home, 7.5 on Monday night. So quite a bit of, you can really see these lines.
It looks like, well, I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, when there's wavering between a key number, certainly more for us to look at come tomorrow afternoon. But looks like we're going to have to set aside a big chunk of time Saturday morning to go through these in more detail. Agreed.
The 26th of December is going to be a big discussion time. But I think we can let's try to close strong. You never know what can happen. Try to make it work. Certainly a couple, 5-point weeks would make a huge difference. But it's been an interesting year, and we've really we've hung in there. I think last year we had a similar swoon in this time frame, but we were way far back. I think we're better this year, but we've learned some things, gotten some things done.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think if we have a good week this week, we can at least give ourselves a chance to get into that money in week 17.
Right, right. All right, one little plug, since I put it out there, if you haven't done it in a while, the Wegs pool, we got the the Dating by Wegs 12 Days of Christmas is up. It's a silly little post. If you've been on a dating app, you'll probably get most of those jokes. Silly, so check that out on wegspool.com. Otherwise, good luck this week. We got football games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. 4 days of football, not to mention the Bulls have started. I know you haven't been paying attention to college football, but lots going on, action.
Yeah, started out a little hot in the bowl games myself, and I know a lot of our listeners are interested in college basketball too.
Yep.
I've gotten a couple of texts and requests for discussion there, so we'll certainly look to turn the page probably after next week.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you already posted about Chicago State calling it quits in basketball. That was your bet against in basketball.
Yeah, too bad.
All right. Well, hey, follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and Instagram. Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter.
And follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Peace out.